Hey guys, Josh with LynkSpyder. Today we're going to do a quick tip on how to replace the lens on your Mevo Core. Now I don't know what camera you came from. Maybe you came from GoPro, maybe you were using a smartphone, maybe you came from the Mevo world. Say you had this Mevo Plus, maybe you had the Mevo Start, and this year you decided to upgrade your game to the Mevo Core. Well, it's definitely an upgrade. It's a substantially better camera, but there's a couple of things to keep in mind. None of those other cameras that we talked about had replaceable lenses. This camera is a micro four thirds mount. It uses the same lens as any micro four thirds digital SLR, and there's a couple of care tips that you need to take in mind. So first and foremost, replacing a lens, there's a couple of things to keep in mind. One, you never want to do this when the camera's on, so always power the camera off. The next thing that you want to do, especially if you don't have a lot of experience with this, is to identify the lens indicator. On the top of this lens, mounted to this Mevo Core, it's going to be pointed straight up. You kind of want to get used to that, remember that. Each camera can be different, and certainly the rotation on different kinds, let's say a Nikon camera, the lens rotation went in a different direction. So you want to kind of get your bearings set when you do this. The second thing that you want to do is you want to indicate or locate this lens release button, and on this camera we're going to push that. We're going to turn the lens counterclockwise, not quite 90 degrees. You'll feel it stop, and then the lens can be removed. Okay, so while we've got it in this camera here, let's take a peek inside. You always want to protect a few things. One, you want to make sure that these connectors don't get dinged. This is what sends information to and from the camera and to the lens. And just as important, the sensor on the back side. That sensor is what's actually collecting the image, and there's nothing in front of it to protect it. So if you get dirt on it, if you drop something on it, you could definitely damage it, but dirt was going to show up on your lens, is going to show up on your final image. Okay? So I'm going to put this lens back on. I've got the indicator right here. It lines up with the red dot on the lens mount. I'm going to get that as close as I can, and I'm going to rotate it the other direction until it locks in place, and you'll feel it locked and you can't remove it at that time. So let's say you're out in the field and you want to replace this lens. Right now this is a 1442, and we wanted to replace it with this telephoto 45-175. These steps that I'm going to give you are things that I learned when I was a wedding photographer, out in a wedding, specifically an outdoor wedding. You wanted to minimize the time that you did not have a lens on, and you wanted to do it in such a way that you could minimize the risk of something dropping into your camera. Okay, so what I'm going to tell you to do is, in this particular case, this lens has a dot on it just like the other one. I want to rotate that such that it's going to be the way I'm going to mount it, so that I don't have to fiddle fart around with getting that in place. The next thing that I want to do is I want to loosen but not remove the lens cap. Again, just as important from keeping dirt on the backside of your lens, we want to keep that in place. Okay? The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my camera and I'm going to turn it lens side down. And I'm going to remove the lens just like we did before. And I'm going to place it off to the side, keeping the lens down. I'm going to take this lens cap off and I'm going to set it on top of the old lens. Again, that keeps stuff from dropping on it. Now, since I've got that red dot indicated and located close to where I'm going to land, I can put this in place and lock it down. Now that process right there will minimize the amount of risk that can cause dirt and debris to get on that sensor. But it still is possible. So whenever possible, do this in a clean environment. Let's say you've got a tournament out of town and you know you're going to mount this out in the outfield. Do this in your hotel room. Do this from your car. Do this somewhere outside of field dirt, because even if you've got it pointed down, dust can blow up through there and it's going to wreck your day. But follow this process. It should get you going. I hope this helps. If you have other questions, don't hesitate to reach out. Josh@LynkSpyder.com. We'll see you.